The Cardinals will be leaving Boston disappointed after losing 2 out of 3, and the 2 they lost, they could have won had it not been for the bullpen. An incredibly important weekend series with Milwaukee coming up, but if the Cardinals want to truly compete long-term, the bullpen needs shoring up. That is the number one thing we learned about in Boston this weekend. That is the number one thing we'll be talking about on today's episode of Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Cardinals podcast for Monday, June the 20th of 2022. I am Lucas Smith, host of the show. Thank you for tuning in today, each and every day. Monday to Friday on the Locked On Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. Again, I am Lucas Smith. This episode in particular is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, it's where the game starts. Happy Monday, everybody. Despite a lackluster weekend in Boston, it was an exciting weekend in Boston. Lackluster only in terms of results, as the Cardinals do drop 2 out of 3. And whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on podcasting platforms, thanks for tuning in on this Monday. And it's a series that they're just going to have to flush. There's no question about that because of how difficult this upcoming series is with the Brewers. So I'll talk about the Brewers series coming up in a little bit. We're kind of going to go back and forth. I'm going to start with the problems with the bullpen. So kind of talking about this Boston series. Then I want to talk about the Brewers series upcoming, preview that, talk about the importance of that. And then in the third segment, I'll go a little bit more in depth on other aspects of the weekend against Boston. I'll talk about Wainwright. I'll talk about some offensive performances, Andre Palante, who deserves a shout out. So little things in segment number 3, but I want to start first and foremost with the bullpen concerns right now for the St. Louis Cardinals. And I don't really think that there is any other way to put it other than there is a concern right now for this Cardinal bullpen. And I am somebody that has been positive overall on this pitching staff. I've been maybe a little lenient on the results so far. But the time for leniency, the time for lackluster, it's okay, they'll figure it out, is starting to draw to an end. And I don't mean to just completely flip my viewpoint because last week I was talking about being patient with this team. And overall, with the starting rotation, patience is key. I think Flaherty is going to be fine. Michaelis continues to be strong. Starting rotation is going to figure it out and has been arguably pretty strong. The offense, we saw the capability both to explode for runs, as we saw on Saturday, as well as come back in games that they were out of on Friday and Sunday, getting the tying run to at least on base or at the plate. Or on the bases or at the plate. So you had good things there. Patience there is key. This bullpen, it might be harsh to say my patience has run out, but there is a pretty good argument for that when you look at this bullpen for the Cardinals. Because Giovanny Gallegos, 2.92 ERA, 24 and 2/3 innings pitched, 1.34 ERA plus. That's phenomenal. Genesis Cabrera, 2.20 ERA in 23 games, 28 and 2/3 of an inning, 1.78 ERA plus. And I double-checked this like 3 times to make sure I'm reading this right. Ryan Helsley, in 25 innings pitched, 21 games this year, a .36 ERA. That's not the unbelievable part. The unbelievable part is that his ERA plus is 1,088. Just for the record, average ERA plus 100. Just throwing that out there. That is how good Ryan Helsley has been. Even if that's a typo, it's going to be extremely phenomenal for what his actual ERA plus is. But you look at the rest of this bullpen. Okay, you see Drew Verhagen. This is as of Sunday night, so I don't believe this on BaseballReference.com. So this should be through. It says it was updated June 19th, 5:05 p.m. I'm recording this Sunday night, so these should be the updated stats. But we're looking at Drew Verhagen for his, going down the bullpen. First up, Drew Verhagen. 4.91 ERA in 18 and a third innings. Pitch rate plus at 80. TJ McFarland in 26 and 2/3 of an inning. 24 games. 7.43 ERA. ERA plus 53. Nick Whitgren, who actually turned in a couple of scoreless outings earlier in the weekend, in 25 innings pitched, 5.40 ERA, 73 ERA plus. Look at some other guys that have spent time in the Cardinal bullpen that are not there currently. Packy Naughton in 9 games, 5.40 ERA. He also has had a couple starts, ERA plus at 74. Cody Whitley, who I'm high on, I think he could maybe be somebody a career trajectory like Helsley, has the stuff, needs to figure it out. Not good this year in 12 2/3 of an inning, a 5.68 ERA plus 70. Junior Fernandez only pitched a couple innings. You had Jake Walsh pitch 2 2/3 of an inning, give up 4 earned runs. Not a lot of solid options outside of the big three. And this was the theme that I thought was fixed. This was the theme last year. You had the big three, Reyes, Cabrera, Gallegos. Those were the 3 guys that you could rely on. We saw it start to waver about this time last year when they were just overused. And the Cardinals have been very cognizant as to not overuse guys this year, especially Ryan Helsley. I mean, I already mentioned it. Look at those 3 guys. Gallegos has 24 2/3 of an inning. Cabrera has 28 2/3, and Helsley has 25 innings. They are so cognizant as to not overuse them. TJ McFarland has more innings than Ryan Helsley. Nick Whitgren has the same amount of innings as Ryan Helsley. They're only using Helsley when they need to, and Helsley has stepped up to the challenge, but you need other guys to step up outside of those big 3. That is plain and simple. That is a problem for this team, and arguably, I don't want to say only problem because every team has more than one hole, but it is the largest problem that's holding them back right now, is the lack of bullpen depth. Plain and simple, cut and dry. Again, I'm not usually one to just be black and white, this is how it is, but this is pretty much how it is. And going forward, according to Katie Wu, tweeted out a quote from Oliver Marmol talking about the bullpen and said, quote, "It needs to get better. I've said it before, continue to say it. I'm not using Gio down 2. Gio is here to pitch when we're even and ahead. Helsley here to pitch in high-level situations, not down 2. Katie Wu quote tweeted this and said, I added a quote, "We need a right-hander to get outs in the middle innings," end quote. So, what's going to change going forward? Well, according to Katie Wu, Oliver Marmol has said Johan Oviedo is going to take over Drew Verhagen's role, and Zach Thompson will do the same with TJ McFarland. Zach Thompson is one that I am pleased with that decision. Pitched 4 innings on Saturday night, and so far Zach Thompson has impressed early on in his career. Just 3 games, 1 start, 12 innings, ERA sits at 4.50, ERA plus a little bit below, average at 89, but when he was a reliever, he has been phenomenal. The 1 start, he was so-so, gave up a couple big home runs, but that's a solid option. Johan Oviedo, that one is a little less exciting for me. He's got a 4.09 ERA and 11 innings pitched this year, ERA plus at 98, so you think maybe he can find things back on track. At the end of the day, until a move is made externally, you're going to have to do with what you're given. And if Marmol wants to make these changes, that is him being proactive and not just being insane and trying the same thing over and over again. It's the definition of insanity. Trying the same thing, expecting different results. And the Cardinals lost 2 out of 3 today because of 2 very similar recipes. Starter pitches pretty well. Bullpen gives up big innings late. On Sunday, Andre Palante goes 5 2/3, gets charged with 2 earned runs, struck out 4. He was really, really good. Henderson Cabrera came in with 2 inherited runners. Neither one of them scored. Drew Verhagen came in with 2 inherited runners for Cabrera. Neither one of them scored. But Drew Verhagen gives up the big 3-run home run in the bottom of the 8th inning to Christian Vasquez. Backbreaking. You're down 2. You think you got a chance in the 9th inning, and now you're down 5. Juan Yepes hits a 3-run home run. Obviously, if it's a 2-run game, things are different. Who knows? But just at the surface level, that 3-run in the bottom of the 8th inning killed this game. Similar, as I mentioned, the similar recipe was applied on Friday night. Again, not to the Cardinals' strategy, but a similar lesson, similar strategy in the sense that the Cardinals were able to come back. The starter pitched really well. Trying to find the box score here, beg your pardon. Got different things pulled up. Yeah, so beg your pardon there. Pitcher pitches pretty well. Starting pitcher this time on Adam Wainwright, as he is Wainwright versus Walker. He goes 6 1/3, gets charged with 4 earned runs. As McFarland gave up an inherited runner to score. He is not able to register an out. He gave up 3 runs in the bottom of the 7th inning. Team comes back with a 4-run top of the 9th. How big were those 3 runs at the bottom of the 7th? Huge. And again, those runs were charged to Wainwright, but the bullpen gave those up. This bullpen needs a change. So far the change is we're gonna try new guys, and at this point, that is at least something. But looking to this week against the Brewers, they've got a pretty good bullpen. In case you didn't notice, pretty good pitching. Starters, relievers, all of it. That's why the Brewers are still in this thing. The Cardinals are still in this thing because of their offense, which has been better than what most people think. And their starting pitching has impressed more than I thought it was going to with the injuries that have happened. But this team needs a bullpen revamp. You need right-hander. And hopefully when Matz comes back, you're able to move Pallante to the bullpen, even though Pallante has done good things as a starter. But Pallante's not going down to the major leagues, or the minor leagues, excuse me. That cannot happen. You can't say, we want to keep Pallante a starter, so we need him in Memphis. No. You shorten him back up, you put him in the bullpen. The bullpen needs an Andre Pallante more than the starting rotation needs him right now. And I'll defend that. This week's series is very, very important against the Milwaukee Brewers. And the good thing is about this weekend, Brewer was used for an inning today. Gallegos wasn't used. Helsley wasn't used. Those 2 guys are going to be rested if the Cardinals are able to get a lead or at least have a game be tied late in the game. That is a good thing going forward. Let's talk about that Milwaukee Brewers series. Bullpen is going to be rested. At least the 2 high-leverage guys, Cabrera likely available Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. That's a positive. And based on the track record of Miles Mikolas, a starter on Monday, you won't even need a reliever. So we'll talk about the Brewers series, the importance of it, because it is awfully important coming up here in just a moment. But first, I want to tell everybody about Athletic Greens, AG1. This stuff is incredible. You just put 1 scoop of AG1 in your water every day, and with that 1 scoop, you're going to be absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source, superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy recovery, focus, and aging, all of the things. It's incredibly healthy, lifestyle friendly. Whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, gluten-free, it is healthy for you. Contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals, or artificial anything while still tasting good. And it also won't break the bank. It costs you less than $3 a day. You're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit, and it's cheaper than getting all these supplements yourself. You are investing in an all-in-one nutritional insurance. Right now is the time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop and a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy for you, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/MLB network. That is athleticgreens.com/MLB network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Cardinals and Brewers this week. Cannot stress the importance of this series. Yes, it's only June. I understand that. But the Cardinals this season have already played the Brewers 8 times. They're 4-4. They've split both 4-game sets. Third series of the season, they lost 5-1. They won 10-2, won 2-1, lost 6-5. So run differential is great. However, you still only get a split. Second time they played was in the month of May, late in the month of May. They lost the first one 4-3. A Wainwright start. Wainwright has lost both of his starts against the Brewers and hasn't pitched terribly in either one of them. You win the middle 2, you win 4-2, you win 8-3, and then you lose 8-0 on the Mikolas start. That was one of Mikolas's worst starts. And now you have the Milwaukee Brewers here at Milwaukee, all evening games until Thursday. You get an afternoon game Thursday. The next time the Cardinals play Milwaukee, again, is the only team that the Cardinals are currently chasing right now, is at St. Louis in August. So this is really the time to separate yourself if you're the St. Louis Cardinals. This is the time. Yes, every divisional game is important. The Cardinals have those coming up. They got the Cubs. They're going to play division games, obviously. But you've got to take advantage of the games against the team that you're chasing or you're competing with at the top. And right now, the NL Central is a two-horse race. St. Louis and Milwaukee both ended the day on Sunday at 38 and 30. They are tied for first place in the win-loss column, the winning percentage column. Cardinals are 6-4 in their last 10. They've lost one, obviously. Milwaukee's 5-5, but they're on a 3-game winning streak. Milwaukee is 15-12 at home. The Cardinals are an even 17-17 on the road. The Brewers against teams above 500, 13-18. The Cardinals, 15-18. Cardinals with a couple more games against teams above 500. This is the most important series to date, and the Cardinals need to separate themselves. And it's not going to be easy. Do you know why it's not going to be easy? Because the Cardinals have, on game one, yes, you've got Miles Mikolas going for you. That's a good thing. You got to feel pretty good about Mikolas going for your squad. And you're going to be facing Corbin Burnes. That is never a draw you want to get. No matter who you have on the mound for yourself or your team, Corbin Burnes is going to be the better option. And it's going to be a tall task against Burnes. It always is. You know, the Reds were able to miss Burnes in the series over the weekend, but Burnes' his last 3 starts, he had a bad start against San Diego, a short start against the Philadelphia Phillies. Last time against the Mets, 6 innings, 5 hits, a couple earned. He punched out 8, did not walk a batter. Corbin Burnes is a Cy Young favorite. There's a really good argument that he is the Cy Young to date. Game 1 is a tall task already out of the gate. Game 1 is a tall task for the St. Louis Cardinals. And I don't mean to be Mr. Doom and Gloom, just completely negative, but it's just stating the fact that Corbin Burnes is really, really good. The Cardinals were able to miss him in that first series, but in the next series in May, on the 29th of May, he goes 7 shutout innings, gives up 2 hits, walks a batter, strikes out 11. The track record against Corbin Burnes is also not very good. So not to chalk it up to an automatic loss, and the only reason I'm not chalking it up as an automatic loss, to be honest with you, is because of Miles Mikolas on the mound. These are Miles Mikolas' last 3 starts. Okay, 5 innings, 8 hits, 4 earned, 3 walks, 4 punch-outs against the Cubs. He gutted through it, got the win. That was a tough start, but he got through it. Against the Rays, 8 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned, no walks, 9 strikeouts. That was a complete game. Last time out against the Pirates, 8 2/3, 1 hit, a walk, and 6 strikeouts. He is on a roll right now. Started against Milwaukee on the April 15th. Good track record here as well. He was accredited to win this game. He went 6 2/3, gave up an earned run on 3 hits, walked a batter, and struck out 7. His other start against Milwaukee was his worst start of the year, as I mentioned earlier. He goes 5 2/3, 9 hits. He was credited with 6 earned runs, gave up 2 home runs in that start, walked a batter, and struck out 6. So 1 good, 1 bad for Mikolas. But with Mikolas' role that he is on, again, that is why this is not an automatic loss for the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals are going to need to try and get a lead early, get Burnes early, and I assume it's going to be a rocking crowd in Milwaukee this week. I don't know why it wouldn't be. And you've got the Cardinals in town. It's going to be a tough series for the Cardinals. You got Mikolas and Burnes on game 1 on Monday night. And then on Tuesday, there's another 7-10 start. Tuesday, Flaherty makes his return against Aaron Ashby, the lefty prospect. I don't know if he's still currently a prospect, but at one time was one of the top prospects in the Brewers system. Flaherty's going to be on a 75 pitch count limit for the St. Louis Cardinals, according to Katie Wu. Hopefully that the third time out, he will have no limitations. So likely we'll see Johan Oviedo back up Flaherty, just like we did in his first start against Pittsburgh. I mentioned it to be patient with Flaherty. Somebody commented on YouTube that obviously you should be patient with him. I forget what the actual comment was, but that nobody should actually be getting up on him. Love the agreement. This is a big test for Flaherty. Not to say that the Brewers are some offensive juggernaut, but if you thought that a Wednesday night game when the series was already clinched against Pittsburgh was high leverage, how about it's Tuesday night, so that doesn't really make much of a difference. But against the team that you are currently tied in the division with, you're either going to be one game ahead or one game back of them when this game happens as well. This is going to be one of the more higher leverages that you can get for a middle of the June start. Looking at numbers against Flaherty with the Brewers, not a lot of at-bats as you might expect. Only 2 players with more than 10 at-bats against Flaherty. Omar Narvaez is hitting .250 and 12 at-bats with a home run and 4 RBIs. And Christian Yelich is .286 and 28 at-bats. He does have 2 home runs and 3 runs batted in. Keston Hiura has 7 at-bats as a home run in those 7 at-bats. So a little bit of success against Flaherty. Look for him to be Flaherty. That's all I'm looking for. Establish the fastball in the inside corner to righties. That will allow the slider to work off extremely well after that. After Jack Flaherty, for Wednesday's evening start, again, another 7:10 first pitch. It's going to be Adam Wainwright versus Eric Lowell. Wainwright, again, 2 tough luck losses against the Brewers in the first 2 times out. And then on Thursday, in the afternoon game, getaway day for St. Louis, Dakota Hudson gets the ball against Jason Alexander. So, again, I cannot, to kind of wrap up the segment, there's no overimportance about this series because of you're starting to get closer to the All-Star break. You're past Memorial Day. That's kind of that's usually the quarter of the way mark. It's usually a pretty good mile marker, if you will. So this is who you've got for the playoff picture. The division opponent in the Brewers, and it's the only division opponent that poses a threat to win the division. You need to take advantage of every division game. But as I mentioned to start this segment, I'll say the same thing to wrap it up. You need to take advantage of those games that you are playing against the teams that you are chasing just above or in a dead heat with. And that is the Brewers right now. Take advantage of this game. If you walk away from here with a split, that needs to be worst case scenario. You're on the road. You've got Burns in game 1. A series win is going to be difficult. There's no question about that. So a series split is still, in my opinion, even with a 3-1 being unlikely, still a 2-2 needs to be worst case scenario. The Cardinals took advantage of the schedule last week. They were not able to over the weekend. Flush what happened this weekend. I'm not going to just yet because I'm going to talk about it for another 8 or 10 minutes or so. But flush what happened this weekend. Go and take care of business against the Milwaukee Brewers. You've got your 1A, 1B relievers rested. You got your ace on the mound in Michael, this person who's pitched the best, arguably, for the St. Louis Cardinals this season from the starting rotation standpoint. Go out, make it happen, compete with the Brewers. And again, it's time for the Cardinals, as it is every time they play a playoff team, to show that they can compete with the best. They're a sub-500 team right now against teams with an above 500 record. Change that this weekend. They're 3 games under, so you're going to have to sweep to change that. But go out and beat the Brewers. And I mentioned I wasn't going to flush this weekend just yet because I want to talk about this weekend and what happened in Boston coming up here in just a quick moment. But first, a word about BetOnline.net. That is today's title sponsor. It is your number 1 source for all of your betting needs and your sports info. You can find all of the latest developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's NHL playoffs and Major League Baseball. BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sport wagering needs, including live betting, esports, and scores, and BetOnline.net remains the best spot for all of your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. BetOnline.net. It's the fastest, it's the easiest way to check in on your favorite sports and events, including these. I haven't listed these yet: MMA, boxing, and golf. They've got all the sports you could possibly want. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline is where the game starts. Despite the losing by 3, you did see some positives in this weekend against the Boston Red Sox. You did. You saw twice in the 2 losses that were tough luck losses, that little things go one way, you talk about it differently. The offense showed resiliency. The offense made the opposing closer work, and Tanner Houck. And the ability, as I used this phrase earlier, they were able to come back in games that they were nowhere close in, or at least that they were out of. Down 6-1 in both games in that 9th inning, and you're able to come back. That, to me, is a sign of a great offense. Win, lose, or draw. Can't draw in baseball, but win or lose, to be able to make the pitcher work and make things happen, that's huge. Obviously, it ends in disappointment both times, right? With Goldschmidt striking out looking to end the night on Friday and Brendan Donovan striking out swinging to end the game on Sunday. So obviously, the end result is not what you wanted, and you have negatives. The big ones I'm talking about are the bullpen. I talked about that in segment number 1. But the resiliency of this offense was solid. Another little nugget: Nolan Arnotto. A couple of home runs, had a couple RBIs. In addition, on Saturday in the 11-2 rout of the Red Sox, maybe Nolan's getting going. And how huge would that be for Nolan Arnotto to get hot? That would make this lineup incredibly deadly. Another name that's getting hot a little bit, Dylan Carlson. He had some success over the weekend. You have a couple of different names here for the Cardinals in those two. Bader had a hit as well on Sunday. This would be a great time for some of these offensive players to get going. But just kind of going back through the games and, just watching him, and it was one of those series that just felt something wasn't right. And it was the bullpen, by the end of the weekend, we realized that. But on Friday night with Wainwright and Walker, I know the Cardinals lost that game, and I know Walker pitched pretty well. But wow, is that fun to watch. Obviously, I would have liked to see Wainwright pitch a little bit better. It gets tagged with 4 earned runs and 6 1/3. But Walker, 5 1/3, 6 hits, an earned run. Walked a batter, struck out 5, gave up that first inning home run to Arnotto. But wow, to see Walker have success. Again, I talked about this on Friday's episode. Walker is somebody that I always cheered for. I always rooted for. I always wanted him to do well. I mean, he's a postseason Cardinal hero. Postseason, maybe legend is a little harsh because he only did it for one postseason and didn't win the World Series that year. But he's still somebody that I have cheered for in the past, cheer for currently. Obviously, it sucked that it was against the Cardinals, but it was nice to see Walker have some success, which we haven't seen. At least I haven't seen Walker find success in some time. I talked about this on Friday. He had a couple of good years with St. Louis, but arguably, he just didn't have a lot. Didn't have a lot left with the Cardinals after those first couple of years. There was a lot to like on Saturday's game. There was a ton to like. Cardinals win at 11-2. You see Goldschmidt with a couple hits, Arnotto a couple hits. I mentioned the home run already as well. Gorman, a mammoth blast to deep center field. O'Neill, a mammoth blast to deep center field. Also hope Tyler O'Neill is okay with his with his hamstring injury. Hopefully he's back and ready to go on Monday, but obviously I would not rush him. You had 2 Cardinals have 3 hit days on Saturday. You had Bader have 3 hits, and you had O'Neill get 3 hits. You also had 2 hit nights from Goldschmidt and Arnotto and the 14-hit barrage. And on the mound, you saw Dakota Hudson walk 5, struggle again, but he got through 5 innings. He still gives you a little bit of hope. Maybe it's fool's hope, maybe it's fool's gold, but he's giving you a little bit of hope every time. That ERA is still pretty solid at 3.31. And how about Zach Thompson? Talked about this a little bit in segment 1. He has been really good out of the bullpen. 3 shutout innings with 4 strikeouts on Saturday night against the Boston Red Sox. And I know that start was less than desirable. But in his 3 games this year, it's the times out of the bullpen that he's impressed the most. 4 innings, 1 earned runs, a walk, and 3 strikeouts against the Cubs on the 3rd of June. 10 days later, you had the start against Pittsburgh, 5 innings, 5 earned, 7 hits, a couple walks. And then Boston last night, 3 shutout innings out of the bullpen. I will take him out of the bullpen over T.J. McFarland easily. And again, T.J. McFarland had a ton of success last year, and you can argue over the weekend that there are a couple of bounding ground balls that just found their way through, but you can also argue that his numbers are bad and that it's time for a change. Same thing with Drew Verhagen, but again, Zach Thompson was absolutely dynamite on Saturday night. And then Sunday, despite the offense going cold against Nick Pivetta, he was really good. I mean, he was, I mentioned that he's kind of one of those guys for the Red Sox that can be good, but he was good and was really good on Sunday afternoon, striking out 10 Cardinals in 7 innings. And then Strieber comes in, strikes out 3 in an inning. And the Cardinals able to put together a little bit of a run there in that 9th inning. But for the Cardinals pitching standpoint, Andre Palante continues to impress and show why he gets starts. Unable to get through 6 innings, but 5 2/3, 4 hits, 2 runs, both of those were earned. Walked a batter, struck out 4, gave up the 1 home run. But his ERA has dropped is at now 1.69 and 42 2/3 of an inning. And again, when Matz comes back, and if you would have put him in the bullpen or put him in the rotation, that's fine. You're going to need to move one, obviously. That will likely be Palante, barring any other injury. Again, Palante still needs to be on this team. He is too good to be at the minor league level, and the bullpen needs too much help for Palante to go down. So despite losing 2 out of 3, you saw good things this weekend from the St. Louis Cardinals. Resilient offense. Palante impressed. You saw some good things. With the offense, you had Arnotto start to get hot. O'Neill, even though he might be hurt. Gorman hit another home run. Bader, good performances. Good things are happening for this team despite them losing 2 out of 3. And that to me is a sign that the world isn't ending. The team is not, all this, baseball, you can go so whopper jawed one way or the other after a series, after a game, because the season is so long. I try not to do that. So overall, I'm still pretty high on this team. I think this team can do well. They need bullpen reinforcement, so that's why I started the show with the bullpen. This bullpen right now needs help, and there's something needs to be different about it. So this week's series against the Brewers is just that more important because of the way the division standings are all right now, and the Cardinals are going to need to step up and show out against the Brewers this weekend, and then another divisional opponent against the Cubs this weekend. So plenty of NL Central foes between the Cardinals and their opponents this week. So appreciate you guys tuning in today. Be sure to tune back in tomorrow. I'll talk about Miles Michaelis' start, talk about Corbin Bird's start. I also want to talk a little bit more about the catching position tomorrow, as Molina got hurt. Kisner and Herrera have not stepped up so far in the three games against Boston. We'll see if they're able to do that tomorrow and what the future of the catching position looks like for the St. Louis Cardinals. So thank you for listening or watching. Be sure to subscribe on your platform or your YouTube, your preference of choice, and follow along for the rest of the season. Come back tomorrow to talk about today's game, as well as the catching position for the St. Louis Cardinals. And until then, be sure to stay safe, stay well, and have a fantastic rest of your day.